Pleasant good afternoon, one and all. Pleasant good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you are. Welcome to the Monday's episode of Speaking Out, Exposing Corruption and Incompetence. Welcome, one and all. Let me just remind you to share the live. Share the live. I note that we are, by our dozens. We are in our dozens in the schoolyard waiting for the program to get started. Well, we are going to start in a short while. We're going to start. So share the live. Don't be selfish. Let others know that we are on. From the numbers we're getting now on Mondays, I think by now people know of the Monday arrangement. So no big difference with the numbers on Monday and on Wednesday. The word has been passed on. It is catching on Monday. Hope you all had a wonderful weekend and that you're looking forward to a very productive week. Today, what? Today is Monday, the 18th day of December, 2023. We are 1 week away from Christmas. Normally this week before Christmas is always a very busy week. So I appreciate the fact that people have found time to be on the live this morning, because I know this week is pace and power. Pace and power, so many things to get done. All the shopping to do, gifts to buy, things to the garlic poke, the pepper pot, the ginger beer. Yeah, because as Guyanese, we know no matter how difficult times are, when it comes to Christmas, we will find the resources to make sure that we are a little comfortable. Right? So share the live and let people know that we're here. My colleague, Mr. Conway, is already in the studio, anxiously awaiting his time to interact with you. So I want to say this is the day that the Lord has made. Let's rejoice and be glad in it. Let's give praise and thanks to being in the land of the living. It's a privilege indeed to be in the land of the living. So many persons would not have been this fortunate. And I said we got to do the roll call, because when I miss roll call some days, people they rebuke me. They said that roll call is very important, so we are going to do the roll call shortly, and then we are going to move. What as I indicated when we scheduled the program about 4 o'clock this morning, almost immediately, students started to enter the schoolyard. And when we went live a few minutes ago, they poured into the classroom. So YouTubers were here from very early, 4 o'clock. Facebook people, when we went live at 11 standard time, 12 o'clock, Guyana time, again, they poured in and the numbers are there. Again, I say I appreciate very much the fact that you have taken the time to be on the live, because I know this is a very busy week. I know. Sandra says she just finished preparing her garlic pork. You're early, Sandra. All right, let me run to the roll call, and then we're gonna come back and we're gonna deal with. So we have a lot to tell you this morning, as is customary. We have so much to discuss, so much to bring to your attention. But when we scheduled at 4 o'clock this morning, the first person to come on was Patricia G. Patricia, again, condolences to you, my dear, on the recent passing of your mom. I hope that the good Lord gives you the strength to overcome this loss. Then Vibert Lawson, 1966 Lawson is here, CC Squaddy. Then we had the next Vibert immediate after, he's a East Bank man, Vibert White. Then we had the man out from the UK, Wayne is here. Then we have Seth Red, Patricia, as in class, she's from Philadelphia. Maureen came in next. And then we had Lyndon is in class. He's from New Jersey, Patterson, New Jersey. Then we have his squad mate, Carly Jacobs. Then who's next? Felicia came in next. Then we had Earl Everett from Texas was here. Floyd Tappin was in class very early. He said his regulation number is 10688, ex-constable Tappin. And let me say this, I'm always pleased when the ex-policemen put their regulation number so you can know around what time they were in and who were the squad mates and all of that. Then we had Ron is here, never miss a class. Ron is here. Emerson, Pito, 81, well, Pito, we can find you put the wrong number. You put 8252. You're changing your number, Pito. Your number was 8152, if I remember correctly. And as I say, we all make mistakes, and the slip of the pen in this case is not the fault of the mind. We have Sharon is in class. Sharon is from the UK. She says it's very from the cold UK. Tessa from Orlando is here. BX, and BX is from New Jersey, is in class. Charlene is here. Denise, Brian, Saul, and the other Saul, Courtney is here. Terrence, 9135TK is in the house. He is from California. Bert is here. Derek, Leon is here. Leon, I missed you a few weeks. 10025 Schwartz, I miss you. Original Black Man is in class. Colin Ari is in class. He's from New Jersey. Pamela is in class. And Pamela is saying that she brought her brother along, a former police officer, Neville Halls. He's in class as well. Evelyn is here. Cecile. Sean, ex-sergeant Sean Rabindranath, a regular, he's always here. Cecile Ogle is here. Kurt Vernon, the one and only Floyd Spencer, we know him as Bangalang, is in class. Jakey is very much in class. Melissa is here. Maxwell Beaton, I think Beaton, what was the number? 11704 or something like that, if I remember correctly. You know, the numbers don't escape me. I think Beaton was 11704. Maxwell Beaton. Barbara is in class. Princess Earl, 6123 from Lamar Springs. Wayne is here. Isabella, very much in class. Carl, my squad mate, 9414 from Arizona, is in the house. Desiree is here. Then we have Monica is very much here. My squad mate, next squad mate from Canada, 9556, Glaston Taylor is with us. Rawl, it was nice catching up with you the other day and exchange some small talk and so on. Tilula is in class. Sandra, very much here. Ulrich, Marcia, Paul from Canada, Paul Archer from Canada is here. Davy Samaru is in class. Doreen from Canada, my squad mate W349 is in class. Malcolm Ned, I think Ned, he was 9218, he is in class. Gordon Collins from Canada, 6659 is in class. Sheila Hamilton, W351. Ronald Jonas, Rhonda Chance, Philip Edgil, Henrik Bascom, John Knight, Kerry Glasgow, George Calder, my countryman, Anthony Jarvis, Queenie. You see what I tell you, all of these things, you know, this is what, 11:05 Queenie came in. I tell you, a lot of people in waiting. Andrew Cuthbert, Clarence Hudson, old traffic man, Carville Corral, my next squad mate. Then you have the one and only Chilo is in class. Rastaman, John Punch is here. Yvonne Rodriguez is in class. Then we have out of Canada, 9795, Terence Young is here. Then we have Glendis Calderia, Mandela Gandhi, Michael Brower. He's the last man before we went live. And I know Brower is saying that he is now enjoying holiday in New Jersey. He is now in New Jersey. Enjoy your holidays, my brother. Oh, he went live. Janice is here. Marcia, these are the Facebookers. Lynette Goodman from Barbados. Karen McPherson is here. Lynette Wilson, Lynette Wilson is here. Orrin Newton, Bummy Douglas, and many others. And let's move on. Let's move on. Let me start again by saying, as we said, this is the day that the Lord has made. We have to rejoice and be glad in it. Many persons have not been this fortunate. Where do I start? Now, first of all, you know, we did announce the death of former West Indian and national cricketer Clive Butts. His funeral was on Saturday, and I had made comments previously that there is a protocol when people who received a national award is being buried at the funeral service. And I commented when there was the funeral of a national awardee, retired Assistant Commissioner Brian Joseph, another funeral, Skip Roberts, and these people, that protocol was not observed. So I was pleased to see on Saturday at Mr. Butts' funeral, the protocol was observed. That is to say, a senior NCO from the Guardian Defense Force was there dressed in his ceremonial uniform, and I think the medal on a cushion and properly displayed during the service. And that is the protocol that I was referring to. So I'm glad to see that the protocol officer, the office of the president, decided to follow the protocol. You know, back in the day, the protocol officer there was Vic Prasad, and he never missed those things. I don't know who is the person there now, but as I've said, I'm glad to see that. Well, I don't know. You're not going to perhaps give credit to this program, but at least the correcting was done during Mr. Butts' funeral, and that should be kept up. It's a national protocol. That it doesn't depend on who the person is or who the person was. Once the person received a national award, that protocol should be followed at the funeral service of that person. So yes, I needed to mention that. And then um, let me mention some board days. Today, and you know, there's always a controversy whether it's board days or board date. So let me say the board date of some people. Today, retired Assistant Commissioner Lethel DeYoung, my good friend DeYoung, is celebrating a board date. We also have the board date today of retired Inspector Wilson, Lyndon Wilson, the coach. Those of you remember Lyndon was a coach. He has some LTCUs recently. I wish you well, Willow. We also have the board date today of a very good friend of mine. He's a former member of the Ghana Youth Corps, a former member of the Ghana Defense Force, and a former member of the Ghana Police Force. I refer to no other than my good friend Winston Yearwood, who is celebrating his 75th birthday today. I want to wish all those persons who are celebrating birthdays today all the best. Long life, prosperity, health, and strength. And then we have some belated birthday greetings. Where do I start? Belated birthday greetings to my good friend, former member of the Police Service Commission, the right chair, Michael Somersall, a retired assistant commissioner and attorney at law. Michael Somersall is recently celebrated a birthday. We have retired superintendent, my countryman, Rupert Hines, celebrated a birthday recently. ASP Joseph Jack celebrated a birthday recently. And then we have a former squad mate of mine, George Semple. He was 95-47. I am 49. Semple is 47. Celebrated his birthday recently. Oswald King, better known to us as Tracksuit, old TSU man. I think his number was 8791. Tracksuit celebrated the birthday recently. And we also had the birthday of Dr. David Hines. I think it was yesterday. Member of Parliament Christopher Jones. And yesterday, one of our students, I don't see him on this morning, maybe he's going to join. If not live, he's going to follow the program. The one and only Barlett from Linden celebrated his 50th birthday yesterday. Birthday greetings and best wishes to all those who recently celebrated the birthday. And the same, I wish that you continue to enjoy life, and that wish you all the prosperity. And I wish you all that you wish yourselves. So that is what we had. And before I bring in Mr. Conway, I must comment on the cricket match 2 days ago, Saturday. West Indies 222, and people believe that was an unassailable total. And England pulled it down. Let me tell you this: I had to go outside. I didn't watch the ending of it. I followed it, and when I saw that the last over, whoever was bowling that over to defend 21 runs, I said game over. But I should have known better. Cricket is a game of glorious uncertainties. And then to see Russell could not have defended 21 licks like peas. And he can relate to that because he's a share licks himself. So this time he was on the receiving end. So that is what cricket is. That is what makes this game so exciting. We have in Australia, Pakistan rolled over in Perth in the first test. We have in South Africa rolled over in the ODI. And that is what you can never predict what is going to happen in the game. That is why we love it so much. Let me bring in Mr. Conway before we move on. CC, I'm sure with the cricket and the birthdays and all of that, you want to say something. Go ahead.
First, I wish to join with you in congratulating those persons who passed another milestone. Cricket, what I must say, I watch it, and but then somebody said that West Indies, they are constant in their inconsistency. Can't defend 21 runs in the last over. But then we know that cricket is a game of glorious uncertainties. We hope that they will win the next two matches and get a 4-1 situation. I'm hopeful.
Yes, my brother. We gotta. I mean, it opens up the series because they have moved to Trinidad now, where they have the final two matches. So it's gonna be very very exciting to see how those two matches will play out. Now, one of the things we gotta mention this morning very briefly. We did say to you last week that we had this conspiracy charge was continuing in court last week, Thursday, it continued Thursday and Friday. I am glad or happy to report that the prosecution closed its case last week, Friday afternoon. After all the delays, all the shenanigans, it came to a stage after 20 something witnesses, the prosecution closed its case. But they didn't close it just like that because they were still trying to tell the magistrate that they want a postponement to another date to call additional witnesses and so on. But the case was closed, and the defense counsels made no case submissions, um, some very strong submissions, I must say. And the prosecutor replied, and he said that he is relying on the evidence that was presented. And the magistrate adjourned to the 27th of December at 11:30 for our ruling. Now we are looking forward to that. We have said all the time we were anxiously awaiting this matter to be tried, and the other matters with me too. I'm anxiously waiting for these matters to be tried. And you know, it's really sad because one of the lawyers made some comments there about the way this matter unfolded. And the magistrate was invited to make comments at some time. I hope the magistrate make comments on the whole what transpired. Because these charges, I remind you, or this charge was instituted on the 19th of May 2021. And it's not finished yet because it will not finish until the magistrate delivers a ruling and decide either to dismiss the charge based on the no case submission, or to call on us to lead the defense. Right? So again, we'd like to teach the magistrate on the 27th has to make a ruling as to whether she will uphold the no case submissions from the lawyers, or whether she going to overrule those submissions and call upon us to lead a defense. Well, having regards to the evidence, my friend, as I said, the matter is still ongoing. I don't want to comment much on it, but I promise you, once the ruling has been made on the 27th, once that ruling is made, we're going to be at liberty to comment on all that went on. What I want to say before I bring in Mr. Conway to comment on this, it was not easy sitting in court, either virtually or in person, and hear senior people and others going into the witness box, taking the oath to tell the truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth, and lying their heads off. It wasn't easy listening to it, right? But you know, they held up the Bible or whatever holy book they subscribe to, and they told a pack of lies, right? And there's something named karma. Karma can catch up with them. As I've said, we're not going to go into all the details now, but once the ruling has been made, because once the ruling is made, for all intent, it will come to an end. Of course, unless we have to lead a defense, then that is the next process altogether. I don't expect that. I don't expect that. And once it ends, we are going to come here and we're going to walk you through exactly what happened all the way through. We're going to walk all the shenanigans with a statement of claim filed against the magistrate to try to get her to discontinue the hearing. When that did not succeed, they filed a fixed date application against the magistrate. All of that. All of that. But God is good. God is good. Prosecution closed its case. No case submissions were made, and the magistrate is to rule on the 27th at 11:30. CC, what are your comments on that, my friend?
Just to expand a bit, and as you mentioned, the prosecution closed its case. The magistrate and the defense made no case submission. The prosecutor said he replied on the evidence led. And on come the 27th, if the magistrate agrees with the no case submission, that is the end of the case. If she disagrees, she's called on us for a defense. She'll tell us that hey, the prima facie case has been made out and we have options. We could go in the witness box and give evidence upon oath where we cross-examine, give evidence without oath where we cannot be cross-examined. We can call witnesses to testify on our behalf, or if we're going to testify, we will testify first and our witnesses followed. And at the end of the process of that process, the prosecution will respond and the magistrate will rule one way or the other. So it's coming to a close one way or the other. But I don't know the results already because I said before, and I'm going to repeat it, that the whole idea was to charge Conway and charge Slow, who are members of the Police Service Commission, and then make unlawful application for them to be suspended from the Police Service Commission, which the judge really later ruled was unconstitutional.
Yeah, well, just for the information again, we like to teach. Let me tell you what the charge is. I'm going to put it up here. I'll put it up here. This is the particle of the charge. You can read it for yourself. I'm going to read it out. It says between Friday the 4th of March 2019 and Tuesday the 7th of July 2020, at the Ghana Police Force Headquarters, Ivlery, Kingston, Georgetown, in the Georgetown Ministerial District in the County of Guyana, that's what they say, County of Guyana, conspired together and with other persons unknown to defraud the Guyana Police Force of $10,056,000 Guyana currency by paying Paul Slow, Clinton Conway, Claude Whitaker, George Fraser, and Mark Gilbert the said $10,056,000 without complying with the proper procedures, purportedly to do a review of the standing order, which had already commenced in July 2018 and concluded in March 2019 by the Strategic Planning Unit of the Guyana Police Force. So that is what they had to prove. That is what the prosecution had to prove because that is what they are alleging, right? And again, we don't want to make too many comments at this stage, but let's wait and see how the magistrate will rule on the 27th. And I promise you, once that ruling has been made, we are going to be in a position to talk about the case because the matter will be over. It will no longer be sub judice, and we are going to be able to tell you exactly what play out, the motive, and all of that. We got to talk. They don't like, they're uncomfortable with the truth. Yes, Janice, she said there's a county of Guyana, not Demerara. That's what I checked it. That is what the statement, the particulars of the offense said. That is what the particulars of offense said in the county of Guyana. Right, so let me move on. There's a matter that I want us to talk about, and I refer here to this matter involving journalist, very popular journalist, Travis Chase. Now, Travis Chase reported that people, either gunman or gunmen, fired at his car, partly in an attempt to assassinate him. The police, this happened in Duncan Street or Durban Street. This happened in Durban Street area. There was evidence that bullets were fired at the car because he had bullet holes on the car. And Travis Chase made a report. It was there in the thing. He reported to the police. Lo and behold, police shortly after, they went to the scene and they commenced their investigation. In Travis Chase's account, he said that following this incident, there was some motorcyclist who was around and gave chase behind this gunman or gunmen who were on a motorcycle, but they managed to evade him. He went to the police. He made a report. The police then issued a release. Let me read this thing. I like to read these things so that people could understand what is happening. Hold on, give it the police update. This is an update from the police. I guess the corporate communication unit would have put this out. And they say, police update, alleged shooting incident. That's the caption. Investigations into a reported shooting incident by journalist Travis Chase are currently ongoing. Investigators recovered spent shells from the scene and submitted same to the Guyana Police Force Crime Laboratory for testing. One of the expert firearm examiners within the laboratory compared the aforementioned shell casings with the specimen shell casing or casings that were obtained from Mr. Chase when he had just purchased and registered his firearm. And the preliminary test result revealed significant similarities between the spent shells. As a consequence, investigators have invited Mr. Chase to surrender his licensed firearm for further analysis to be conducted. The probe continues. Now, let me say this. When you look at this, again, they're so unprofessional that even in a 4-paragraph release, what they say, they're saying in the 3rd paragraph, they say one of the firearm experts within the laboratory compared the aforementioned shell casings with the specimen shell casings that were obtained from Mr. Chase when he had just purchased and registered his firearm. Now, they would not have obtained any casing from Mr. Chase. I know the system well because I was instrumental in putting this into place. When I came to town from Barbados as the commander of Georgetown in 2004, we discovered that people used to say, lick shot indiscriminately. You have these shows, licensed firearm holders will fire in the air, and people fire their gun all over the place. We did, I think Mr. Felix was the commissioner then. We decided that we're going to have a ballistic record of all firearms, legal firearms, of course. So when you purchase a firearm, you have to go to the ballistic expert, and they will fire the firearm. They will retain the ballistic identification of that firearm. In other words, the shell they will retain the shell. They will retrieve the bullet or the warhead, as you call it, and they will keep that on record. That is the system. At least it was until, as I know it. So all the new firearms had to go through that procedure. And the idea was that when you found a casing either at a crime scene or anywhere, you were able to go into the records and to see whether that casing was on record, whether the unknown casing. I remember you have, again, I don't want to be too technical and complicated, but when you're doing these things, you have the known specimen, which is the one that would have been fired from the gun, and then you have the unknown specimen, that is the one that you would have recovered. So you go through the record and see if there's a match any place. And for those persons who, when this system came into place in 2004, who had already owned firearms, before the firearm license was renewed, they had to go to the ballistic section and make sure that that process was done. And subsequently, when you were to renew, you have to produce a certificate to say that the ballistic section has a record of your firearm. I don't know what happens now. Now, so they say they went into the system and they found that the specimens that were taken, now he gave them, what were taken from Mr. Chase when he purchased his gun, had what they say, the word they used, significant similarities. So they wanted to examine his firearm. Well, I found that very, very strange. Because if this gentleman is reporting that he was shot at, an attempt was made on his life, what prompted you to check his firearm record on file? What prompted you to do that? So I found that very, very strange. That this man, during the course of the report, he never fired back. According to the record, is the people shoot at he never fired back. So why would you want to check his firearm? That is very, very strange indeed. And I say this, I know they're going to vex when I say it, but I don't care. The fact that that firearm belonging to Mr. Chase was kept by the police for that length of time, Mr. Chase should be very, very concerned. He should be very, very concerned. And then what happens? So following the release that Mr. Chase is required to surrender his firearm for further testing, Mr. Chase turned up at the ballistic section. I think he said he went first to some other place, and they told him he has to go to the ballistic section. And when he went there in company with his lawyer, Mr. Nigel Hughes, strange things again. Let me show you. The video is here. When he went there with his lawyer, let me show you. I have 3 short videos to show you. Bear with me. Let's say a picture worth 1,000 words. A video recording is worth perhaps 1,000,000. So when Mr. Chase turned up, this is what happened.
Excuse, you can tell him what you were just telling him.
This is such a violation of the order of the Chief Justice in Tamika Clark against the Attorney General. Here we have an officer of the Guyana Police Force videotaping a person who is not even a suspect who has come to the police station for them to conduct tests on his weapon. This is Travis Chase here. This is the officer. You know, it doesn't take a lot of imagination to figure out how it is that the Guyana Police Force cannot solve the most basic of crimes, but spend all this time and resources. Here you have a police officer with a camera recording a person who is not a suspect, who has come to the office of the ballistic department for them to be able to conduct an examination of his weapon. So we will just do what he's doing. Video record him.
Why are you recording?
Why are you recording, sir? Why are you video recording? I've already said to you that there's an express order of court that doesn't allow you to do this.
I'm just following instructions.
From who?
Seniors.
Who's seniors? They got names?
I'm not allowed to give you this.
Oh, so you could just tell me you're following instructions. You don't have to give me a name. What's your name, sir? You don't have to do that either, right?
Healy.
Mr. Healy?
Healy.
What's that, sir?
Healy.
Healy. What's your rank?
Constable.
That's your number? You're not giving us a number?
Right, there's tape number 1. Look at tape number 2, folks. Look at tape number 2.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. Sir, you know that there's a judgment from the Chief Justice that this is not allowed, right?
I'm not aware of it.
Tamika Clark against the Attorney General, decision delivered by Chief Justice George. No, I'm telling you about it so that when it becomes an issue, because he's a civilian, is he not? So is he under arrest? Right, so why is he being video recorded? So why is he being video recorded, sir? Yes, sir.
We have something, right? So.
Yeah, let me show you the final short tape.
So, Constable Healy, as you're recording Mr. Travis Chase, you're not going to give us your regulation number. You don't plan to do that. And do you plan to tell us why you are video recording a citizen who is not a suspect, who is not under arrest, who has come here to hand in his weapon for the purposes of having it examined, given the unusual press release that was issued by the Guyana Police Force? You know you should give us your regulation number. You don't. So let me just make sure I have you video recording Mr. Travis Chase. You'll probably get a better angle over here. So there we have Mr. Chase. And there we have you. And your work for the night is to video record this citizen who's come into the ballistic section. Let's do a tour of the police force. So I'm now the subject of your video recording. Gotta love you, sir.
So yeah, that is what you have. You saw what transpired there. And before there's a short video too with Mr. Chase responding and explaining what transpired. Before I do that, before I show you that, let me tell you, you would have heard Mr. Nigel Hughes referring to the Tamika Clark case and the ruling of the Chief Justice, Madam Roxanne George. He was really referring to Tamika Clark is the lawyer who went to SOCU and advised her client to remain silent. And she was arrested because she advised her client that he should not sign any statement or give any statement to the police. That matter went to the court, and the Chief Justice made several rulings. And let me tell you, in relation to this video recording thing, what she said. And I'm going to read it. The judge further ruled that an attorney at law admitted to practice at the bar in Guyana is entitled to consult with his or client in private without the contents of the consultation being recorded in any way, including by means of audio-visual recording by any law enforcement agency in Guyana or elsewhere. So that is what Mr. Hughes was referencing. The judge made that clear in the order. Now let me read it again. We say that the judge has further ruled that an attorney at law admitted to practice at the bar in Guyana is entitled to consult with his or client in private without the contents of the consultation being recorded in any way, including by means of audio-visual recording by any law enforcement agency in Guyana or elsewhere. So obviously this was a clear violation. I make this point because I saw, I think it's today news, or somebody wrote a letter to try to justify and to say that the police can record you in the compound. This is not a compound. This is in the office. And as was pointed out, this man, they themselves admitted that Travis Chase was not a suspect. And even if he was a suspect, as the judge said, you're still allowed to interact with your lawyer, your attorney in private without it being recorded. That was expressly stated by the Chief Justice, and they're flouting it openly. And these things can happen because in the same matter, Tamika Clark versus the Attorney General, the Chief Justice award damages in the sum of what, $700,000 and costs and all of that. And these people who are doing these violations, in the case of Tamika Clark, Ramana, Superintendent Ramana, as he is now, nothing. As a matter of fact, in many cases when these things happen, these people are promoted. They are rewarded for their inefficiency and for violating persons' rights. So I am not surprised. I am not surprised. And it will continue to happen. And people are going to remain silent until their day come. Because this thing has been going on so frequently, and nobody is making sure that they comply with rulings of the court, that they comply with laws and the Constitution. Because as we said last week or sometime last week, the Justice Singh ruled that you cannot prevent the person from leaving the country unless a court so orders. And I told you all of my experience when I attempted to leave. They didn't prevent me, but they wanted to see an order from the court. They wanted to see, and they made it clear, the judge made it clear that in Washington versus the Attorney General, that the police, the immigration authorities, they have no jurisdiction. They have no right to prevent the person from traveling. If they want the person to prevent it, they have to go to the court, and the court has to so rule. But they're violating these things. And then you have the extended squatter there. He's not doing anything about this thing. And I want to know if we still have a Minister of Home Affairs and an Attorney General, because the Attorney General is usually very loquacious. He like talk. But when these things happen, you're not hearing anything from them. And he is the one, because when you sue, you got to sue the Attorney General. Well, let me play before I bring in, let me bring in Mr. Conway to make his comments, and then I'm going to tell you who I'm going to play for you what Mr. Chase's response was. CC, I'm sure you saw that. Let us benefit from your wisdom and your comments, my brother.
It's very alarming, Paul. And as you rightly mentioned, you are instrumental for the police to obtain ballistic records of all the weapons, the firearms that they register. I remember you went through the process and we had it on stream. I remember during the trials, I remember I used to hear from Mr. Ivla Whitaker, Assistant Commissioner, saying that they had that in terms of the cartridges and the other things that they find at scene, they had the they had the match that they matched with some other scene, that the same gun that was used at one scene, the same gun that apparently used at the other scene. So you had caused this thing to be put in place where we had the ballistics records there, the database at CID headquarters. And let me tell you exactly let me try to explain a bit what happens or how you get that record. And I did a little firearm training like you, Paul, with the FBI. And here's what they say. When a cartridge is fired, firing pin impressions are struck into the surface of the primer. As the powder of the casing burns, the casing expands in all directions, and breech face impressions and chambers impressions are forcibly pressed into the cartridge. Finally, when the casing is extracted from the chambers of firearm, extractor impressions are engraved in the casings. So you have from the firing pin, there are certain markings on the casing, and also when it is extracted. And not all weapons have extractors, like the .38 revolver and some shotguns, they don't have extractors. So those impressions are made, and that is what they record. And the information is that no two guns get the same kind of impressions. Each firearm has its own impressions that they leave on the cartridge or on the casing or even on the thing. Now, I was surprised to hear that they had significant similarities. Significant similarities. Hear those words? That means nothing. Is either you have a match or it's a match. As simple as that. Whitaker used to say they get match or they get match. It's either they match or they match. Don't play with words and tell us about significant similarities. It can't work. And then at the end of it, they say it didn't match. It didn't match with Travis Chase gun. So I don't know what's really is going on, And over the past couple of years, we have had numerous cases where the spines casings, they find bullets, and they haven't been able to trace not one over the years, not one they haven't been able to trace. There's no match. But they're saying that Travis Chase gets significant similarities, and they prove themselves wrong. So I'm not really defending Travis, but Travis has got to be careful because the police took his gun for some time, and I won't be surprised if they change the firing pin, and they go hear that subsequently the gun used for some in some other crime, in some other shooting. Travis has been exercised. They take the gun, and they have the capability, they have the expertise to do all sort of things, and they could change the firing pin. So next thing when you do check, the original records that they have there might be different with the scored one, and the lawyer's client communication has got to be sacrosanct. The Chief Justice said so. the Chief Justice said so. It is written down. And even down to anything the Chief Justice said that the police must do training. They must do training to officers and all ranks, including officers. Here is it. At CID headquarters, the constable doesn't know about the Chief Justice ruling, and also the officer at the lab there doesn't know about the Chief Justice ruling. Just said to me, that's contempt of court, contempt of the Chief Justice ruling. So far, they have not started one course, not one program in relation to the order of the Chief Justice. But there's a police force, and that's how they're going. No wonder they can't get any real kind of success, Paul.
Well, you said the correct thing. Well, let me tell the viewers, our students, those who know me know that I came up dealing with guns. So when it comes to gun, people they can't tell me anything about gun, about the mechanism. They can't tell me anything about the use and how to shoot and when to shoot. They can. I know about guns. And the point we're making when we talk about ballistics and these firearms, each gun has unique features. So the casing, the bullet that travels down the barrel, and the teaching will tell you, the science will tell you that it is like a fingerprint. It is unique to each firearm. So if you recover a bullet, as they call it, a warhead, it has unique markings from the firearm that it was fired from. Recover a casing is the same thing, unique markings. It's like fingerprint, as you would say. And as I've said before, the fact that that firearm was in the custody of the police for that length of period, magic could take place. Magic could take place, and you read what I am talking about. Magic can take place because it was very strange in the circumstances that they would ask Mr. Chase to take his firearm in for ballistic examination. And then at the end, they gave it back to him to say, well, nothing and much. But as a man who knows about gun, I taught, I was a firearm instructor for a number of years, marksman representing Guyana and the West Indies and all of that. I can tell you that if I were in Mr. Chase's position, the first thing I would do is to make sure that that firearm works. The first thing I would do to make sure that the firearm works, because it can be tampered with in such a way that when you believe that you can defend yourself, basically what we used to say, what you get is a piece of brick, because you got pelted, it can't shoot. So that would have been the first thing to do. And secondly, there are other things you have to do, as Mr. Conway alluded to, just to make sure that you ain't getting set up. But I don't want to go into too many details on this program. I got vexed because they say this thing, but I don't mind. Why did you take the man's firearm under those circumstances? You left him exposed a whole night or two or whatever it is. You took it when I see absolutely no reason for you to have examined this firearm in the first place. There was no evidence that he fired. And then, of course, you fuel a lot of speculation, because if you go on social media, you're going to see you say, oh, one man even write it. Well, I guess it was satirical that Travis Chase, shoot at Travis Chase and all kind of thing. Because that is the impression you gave. That is the impression you gave. So I just want to warn Mr. Travis Chase to be extremely careful, extremely cautious. And as Mr. Whitaker saying, these things can happen because the Chief Justice made a ruling about the police having to go through, she said everybody in the force having to go through training. And they were to make a public commitment to do this training. I know what I said. I think I have it here. Let me see if it's this I have here. Yeah. Look at what the police said following the Chief Justice ruling that everybody must go through this human rights training. The police said the Ghana Police Force Academy for decades has wide-ranging training curricula that includes training of on human rights conventions, particularly a specific course on the subject matter. Nevertheless, in light of the Reed Tamika Clark versus AG, and I get the number, the Ghana Police Force hereby publicly commits to refine and modify its training curricula expeditiously to expose all officers and ranks to refresher training, specifically on Article 39.2 and 139 of the Constitution of Guyana, the Human Rights Convention, enshrined in the Constitution pursuant to Article 154A and the United Nations publications Basic Principles of the Role of Lawyers pursuant to Article 39.2. In other words, the Chief Justice say that you should commit publicly to doing the training. And you know how I interpret this? I interpret this to say, well, we've been doing this all along. That's what the first paragraph says. We've been doing this all along. We have been doing this for decades. But since you asked us to make this public commitment, all right, we're going to modify and we're going to do it expeditiously to expose all officers and so on. This is over a month ago, I think this ruling was made, and Mr. Conway is saying nothing. So when they can openly violate the orders of the court, because I did ask the question at the time, given this the nature of this order, what type of monitoring mechanism will be there to ensure that the order is complied with? And it is clear that there's no proper monitoring mechanism, so they can come up with this trash as a release. That is what they can do, come up with this trash as a release. And let me play you now what Mr. Chase had to say following the when he came out from the ballistic section on that night. Here it is.
Good evening, Mr. Chase.
Hi, Mr. Hughes.
We are a bit of a reversal of roles here. I'm actually interviewing you, the journalist, rather than the other way around. Now, we're outside of the ballistic section of the Ghana Police Force. Can you tell us how you ended up here and what happened?
When I left work this afternoon, I got a phone call from an officer from the East Independence Police Station. He said to me they have 2 suspects in custody and I should head down there to see if I can identify the shooter. I said to that officer that I can't do that because I did not see who shot at my car. He said, okay, I hung up the phone. Then another officer called and he said they would like to examine my firearm. So I said to him, examine my firearm for what? He said, there's some discrepancies. I said, discrepancies in what? He said, just please come down with the firearm. So I contacted the lawyer, my lawyer, Mr. Hughes, came down, and then we came across here to the ballistic section. When we came across here, of course, we were met with the whole red carpet affair of the officers filming us and everything since we got out of the car. And they wanted to conduct ballistics on the weapon, but they wanted to keep the weapon. I think the officer, Mr. Singh, if that's the officer, the senior officer that came in after, he said that we will give the weapon in, they will do the ballistics, and they will hand it back. Now, it's 9:30. They've kept the weapon. They've closed their gates. And I'm left unarmed. I want to say this on record. They know what I know. And I know that it's coming from them. This shooting is coming from the police. And they know what I know. I'm not afraid to say it. But if you're going to disarm me to harm me, that's it. That's all I'll say.
Thank you very much. How do you feel going home tonight without your personal licensed firearm?
I feel very threatened. I don't feel safe at all. And that's a fact. I don't feel safe at all.
And how did sorry to interrupt you for interrupting you. How did you feel being video recorded by officers of the police force, even though you are not a suspect? They expressly said so in my presence. And how do you feel about that?
I mean, I thought that there was a recent ruling where the Chief Justice said that is illegal. But to be very honest with you, I kind of now see how it feels as a journalist recording people. But in all seriousness, that should not be, right? I'm not a suspect. They said that. I'm not a suspect. So why take the firearm if I'm not a suspect? You could simply say to me, okay, bring your firearm in the morning, let's do ballistics, and nothing of the sort. They took it, that's it.
Thank you very much, sir.
Sure thing.
All right.
Now, what do we, I would want to, well, let me.
What are you things? Oh, I'm saved it. Same thing. Same thing. Same thing. Close to. Same thing.
Folks, I'm back. I'm back. I hope you are able to hear me. Just please indicate whether you can hear me. I am back. Mr. Conway, can you hear me?
Loud and clear. Loud and
All
clear.
right. Something went wrong there. The gremlins, they freeze up the whole thing, so I have to sign out and come back in. Now, for the viewers online, please let me know if you can hear me. So we're gonna continue. All right, somebody said we are good to go. Well, you know, these things, they do this thing all the time. They interfere with programs. They don't want to hear you. What happened there just now, the thing just froze as I was about to speak. And everything I tried to do, that wasn't working out. So I had to actually reboot the computer and go back in again. So here we are. And I was about to make the point, and what Mr. Chase commented that they called him at least penitence, I think he said, to see if he can identify the two suspects. Now, let me say this. This is basic policing. Before you can invite anyone to identify anyone, if they are suspects, you have to get a statement from the person which clearly describes these suspects and to say how you are going to be able to identify these persons. And I know from basic investigation and police, if the victim says that they are unable to identify the suspect, you cannot conduct an identification parade. That's policing 101. If in the statement they indicate that they are able to identify the suspect if seen again, then you might want to go into descriptions and all of that, right? But the man never told them that he saw who the perpetrators were. But here it is, he's been invited to identify two suspects. And that is the type of policing you have going on. And I'm saying all of these things are occurring because of the absence of leadership. Absence of leadership. The man in charge of CID, under which the forensic or the ballistic section comes, he ought to know. He's a lawyer, they say, notwithstanding, or he's a COVID lawyer. He's a lawyer. He's admitted to practice law in Guyana. And he ought to know what the Chief Justice order is. And I would have thought, same thing with the immigration people, that once these orders are made, you have force orders, as we will say, addressing this issue and telling the ranks, advising the ranks what the order is and how they should operate. But apparently that is not happening. So an officer, the man that you saw there in the tape, in the recording that interacted with Mr. Hughes, he's an officer. Police, when I say officer, he's a gazetted officer. And when Mr. Hughes tells him about the Tamika Clark, he said he don't know. He don't know that the Chief Justice made such a significant ruling. That is what he is saying, right? So let me bring in Mr. Conway for him to have his say, and then we're going to move on to the next subject. Yes, CC, go ahead, please.
Yeah, that is true, you know. And the whole thing is maybe in another episode we're going to talk about training. But just let me briefly talk about training, you know. and that the current force training officer has no training background, and she recently returned from Russia, where she did forensic science. So she did forensic science, and she's now the force training officer with no training background. So how will I come to training? The one in Barbies, no training background. The one in Essequibo, no training background. The commandant in Georgetown, no training background. So now maybe that's why they're not doing training, or they cannot do proper training so people could conceptualize what is going on.
Yes. Let me move on. Perhaps at some stage we'll deal with this issue a little more. But I'm making the point, again, basic. You cannot, police ranks who listening, you cannot invite someone to identify a person unless that someone has indicated in a statement that they are able to identify that person if seen again. Because when they're going to do identification, you're going to put them on a parade, or how are you going to do this identification? And that is why these matters fall through when they get to court. You cannot. And as I've said, if the person says, I cannot identify the person if seen again, that's it. You can't go to ask him to identify. You can't put the person no line up and all of that. And you have to get this, to reduce this into writing. That if if the perpetrator is seen again, I'll be able to identify him. You get that down in writing, and then you move forward. But we will continue to try to teach, and it's for them if they want to take it up and to learn. I didn't even realize that they have a new force training officer, CC. You read me and that. Now let me move on to the death of the 5 ranks from the Guyana Defense Force. Very briefly, just to say that the funerals have been completed. Last Friday, 4 of these persons were laid to rest, or cremated, or buried. And again, condolences to the relatives, the other members of the GDF, and the whole country, because it's a loss to the country. And there are some observations, because we have gotten to the stage now, I think we are the investigation stage, where they have to investigate to find out what really went wrong. In that process, you have 2 survivors. You have the co-pilot, and you have the cargo post, or whatever his description is, who survived. And I know people have been saying, and I all the same concern, and the deceased persons, the brigadier, the colonel, the 2 lieutenant colonels, and the staff sergeant Khan, they were declared as heroes. Nothing wrong with that. I don't see anything wrong with that. They gave their lives because they were on duty. But the question is asked, what happened to the survivors? What happened to the survivors? You're not hearing a word from about what they say and all of that. And if the dead persons are declared heroes, what happened to the persons who survived? And their report said that the corporal actually was able to pull the staff sergeant from the wreckage, and then he succumbed sometime later. So you're not going to give any recognition to those persons? Are you not going to give any recognition for the survivor? That trauma that they went through. They are silent. We haven't heard a word. And it is a clue, I think, because I read somewhere where they're saying that the engine of the helicopter is likely to go overseas for examination. So the question that I have to ask, why are you examining the engine? Is there an indication that there was a problem with the engine prior to the crash? These are questions that have to be asked. And again, silence only gonna make it worse, because when you believe that you're not giving information, I am sure the survivors would have spoken to their relatives. They would have spoken to families and friends. They would have. And again, I say, I understand in an investigation of this nature, you might not want to give out too much. You should not give out too much. But certain basic information ought to be provided to allay any fears. Because in the absence of basic information, a lot of speculation. And we must admit that we have a lot of irresponsible speculation too. I guess they're going to blame me for that as well. I don't mind. But you have to give updates. That is how these things work. I noted too, I don't know how true it is, because as I've said, they have not been giving any update. I noted that somewhere they say that the National Transportation Safety Board of the US may be invited or will be invited to assist with the investigation. Well, I did say on previous programs that in order for you to have a credible investigation, the National Transportation Safety Board of the US should be involved. You can invite them to assist. They have the expertise, they have the experience to assist because people want to know what took place. Speculation that at the time when the aircraft or the helicopter left Aingana, it appeared to have had some difficulties. All of these things you got to investigate to find out. They say the police will investigate along with the civil aviation authorities. What aspect they're going to investigate? I made the point, and I'm repeating it, that the laws of Guyana, specifically the Coroner's Act, say when there's an unusual death, as these are, that there should be a coroner's inquest. There should be a coroner's inquest. So we are waiting to see what will happen. We are waiting to see. And again, I say, to sit quietly and not try to give some update to the public, you're not doing yourself any justice. You're not doing yourself any justice, because what happens in a matter like this, when you do come out to say something, people will not believe you. You have lost credibility. People are not going to believe you. And CC, let me bring in Mr. Conway for him to comment. Mr. Conway, do you want to make any comment on this matter?
Just to support what you've been saying, is that the Army has been very, very silent. They're not giving any information, and it leads to speculation. It leads to rumors. It leads to statements that would discredit the Army, that people will feel that they're not credible. The thing is that two persons survive, and they must have. I think that they're dumb. They're numb. They got to talk to people. They talk to investigators. Yes, give us some information. Give the public some assurance. You mightn't give out sensitive information. I know there are several lessons to be learned as a result of that crash. I saw the video too when the chopper taken off from Camp Engano. It could hardly lift off. Took an unusually long time to get off the ground. I don't know if it was engine problem. That's why they want to send the engine overseas to be checked out. And the survivors, why they're not heroes? The dead men are heroes. Why? Or you gotta die before you turn a hero? And then I might differ a bit for you. I don't know what they did to become a hero. But if the government want to make them heroes, so be it. So be it. I will go along with it, but although I have my questions. So the Army has got to come forward and break down that wall of silence and let the public know certain basic things. Certain sensitive information they are not to give. But basic things. 2 men survived. They were there. As you mentioned, they must have been talking to their friends and their relatives, and a whole lot of things is things we hearing that I don't want to mention and speak on. Damaging thing about the Army, damaging thing about the leadership of the Army, damaging thing about the leadership of the mission that they were going on. But the Army not clearing anything. And then later on, they can't debunk anything because they'll be already spread all across the world. So I'm saying it's time for the Army to come forward and give us some basic information of what really took place. Break down the wall of silence.
And just in case they don't have the resources to break it down, there's a minister of Home Affairs who was famous. He's the minister of Home Affairs now. Back in the day, he had another ministry. He was famous for breaking down things. So perhaps they can recruit him to assist them to break down that wall of silence. Let me move on. I want to, as I announced in the notification for this program, let me talk about the continued carnage on the road. The continued carnage on the roads of Guyana. Frightening. You had the death of 4 people in a minibus. According to the report, the minibus was speeding coming to town in the Friendship East Bank Demerara area, overtook vehicles, crushed in or jammed some car, came into contact with a car. lost control, toppled, 4 dead, including the driver. 4 dead. Then you had Clyde Butts, dead. Son of the soil, former West Indian cricketer, former chairman of the West Indian Selection Committee on the 19 and the senior squad, died in an accident. 2 motorcyclists, and this is within the past couple of days I'm talking about, 2 motorcyclists died in a truck. They gave a release which apparently was so erroneous. Again, Public Corporate Communication Unit just giving these things because they created the impression. The release said that these 2 men were bandits who stole this motorcycle from someone, and in the bid to escape, they crashed into a truck. I saw an attorney at law who knows the people and who spoke to the owner of the motorcycle, gave a different story. That the 2 deceased persons, or at least one, was known to the owner of the motorcycle. He went to borrow the motorcycle from the owner to say that he gotta go and buy something. Partly the owner was reluctant to give him the motorcycle, and he may have taken the motorcycle without the consent of the owner and drove and picked up his partner, and they died. But they're saying that they stole the motorcycle, which apparently is not so, and they haven't come out, as far as I'm aware, to clear up anything. So the 2 motorcycles are dead, and the attorney made the point that all of the people, the 2 that is dead and the owner of the motorcycle, they live in the same area in Grove on the east bank of Demerara. They live in the same area. They are known to each other. So the story that he told sounds very, very plausible, that the one man wanted to borrow the motorcycle, and apparently the owner of the motorcycle was reluctant to lend, and like the man jump on and rode off and met his death. So you have that. Then Friday, we have a very good friend. Both CC and I know the parents and know the businessman from the quarantine who just was test driving and end up dead. Right? Sahid. Right? Very good. I know Sahid like a little brother, more like a son. That is what happened. And we're saying here that it deals with a culture of lawlessness on the road, and the Minister of Home Affairs is silent. The extended squatter who sits in the chair of the Commissioner of Police is silent. They brought a man to take over as traffic chief, Mahendra Singh, senior superintendent. He come out out of the blocks, and all he doing is issuing ticket, tell you how many traffic tickets issued. But the situation has continued and will continue because they are not addressing the root cause of the problem. They are not addressing the root cause. And only yesterday, the report is that the Minister of Agriculture, Zulfikar Mustafa, the vehicle in which he was being transported to town, met in an accident to West Coast Barbies. There's a video there. I saw the accident. And talking about video, even the one at the East Bank, there are several videos, but there's one that is so disturbing that I would not show that. But let me show you this accident that I talk about that took the lives of the 4 people in the minibus. I'm not going to show you the longer version because the longer version with the dead people, well, at least one man lying there, obviously dead. I don't think I would. I don't think I'm not going to show that. But let me show you the short one. This is what it is.
There's a scars, boy. I overtake me and another truck. Guy no overtake them 2 cars. I want to see lush pad.
There you have an eyewitness saying exactly what he saw. That the man overtook, and that is what happened. That is what is going on the roads. What intervention? Let me emphasize. I was fortunate to be the traffic chief on 2 occasions in Guyana. And the older folks will remember, not to brag, not to boast, but a lot of craziness I was able to try to bring under control. Look back at the records. I ain't bragging or boasting, but sometimes got to blow your own trumpet. Twice I went there, and then I was sent to ICA division because they believe that I could have done a good job there. And then I was taken back to traffic again to keep the thing under control. Yeah, twice. So I understand what goes on in traffic. And I'm saying this here now, that the problem on the roads in Guyana is not a police problem. This thing has gone beyond the capability of the police. Police can't deal with police alone, I should say. Police deal with enforcement, yeah. But there are other aspects. A friend of mine commented on social media yesterday, there's this new road, I don't know the geography too well, but he's saying that it is time that he's calling on the police to erect traffic light and speed bumps. And I had to ask him, why are you calling on the police to do that? That is not a function of the police. They're the Ministry of Works. How can you, the Ministry of Works, build a new road and not consider these things, traffic lights and speed humps and all this everything? And that is the problem you have. I said before that it is time that the government establish a Department of Transportation. That will be a good start, to look at all aspects relating to motor vehicles on the road. Licensing of the vehicle itself, the certification of the vehicle as to its roadworthiness, the driver's license, all of these things. And these things are not reinventing the wheel. A lot of countries, smaller countries right within CARICOM and the Caribbean, they do that. It is not the responsibility of the police. We have a situation in Guyana, and believe you me, when you come to certificate of fitness, you go to specific police location, and the policeman, who is designated as a licensing and certifying officer, comes to examine the vehicle. I am saying to you that many of them have no knowledge of mechanics and all of that. So they come, they're going to check to see that the lights are working, that your wipers are working, and check the tire perhaps to see how worn they are. But very cursory, very basic examination. We have got to get to the stage where competent, experienced, qualified persons are going to do that type of thing. And coming back to the accident yesterday with the minister, and I am happy to hear this morning that, and let me tell you, the corporate communication unit of the Guyana Police Force, the incompetence is at such a level that you really can't, there can't be much. Let me tell you what they say, a little piece that I found very amusing. In a paragraph, they say the minister and his driver were both seen and examined by a doctor at the respective hospitals, treated and sent away for minor injuries. They're not treated for minor injuries and sent away. They're treated and sent away for minor injuries. My Lord. And these people getting big money. Mark Ramatar and them of the corporate communication unit. Let me read that back. They say that both the minister and his driver were both seen and examined by a doctor at the respective hospitals. They went to 2 different hospitals, one to Balwansing and one somewhere else. Treated and sent away for minor injuries. Folks, you're making this up. They were treated and sent away for minor injuries. They were not treated for minor injuries and sent away. They were treated and sent away for minor injuries. And they tell me that they've been to school. They tell me, and the next thing they said, that the driver was tested. Let me read up part 2. Very interesting. They say a breathalyzer test was conducted on the driver of motor car PYY 7716, but no trace of alcohol was found in his breath. Notice of intended, just CCTV footage was seen and obtained. Notice of intended prosecution, but again, no trace of alcohol in his breath. And the law speaks about driving under the influence of drinks or alcohol or drugs. Did you test for drugs? Because when one looked at that CCTV footage, it would look like the man was someplace else. The man was spaced out because when you look at it, overtook in the face of oncoming traffic. So yeah, you test for alcohol, and he might not have been above the limit. They said no trace in his blood. But given the manner in which the person drove, have you made any effort to check to see if he had something else in the system? And we talk about these things, and they are annoyed, but I don't care. They are annoyed, but I don't care. And again, I say, we have the Minister of Home Affairs. As far as I'm aware, with all of this going on the road, what did he do? He said he will go to Parliament to ensure that the diplomats and the certain senior government functionaries are allowed to use siren. That is part of the initiative. He instructed the police to have the ranks on ladder. Let me see if I can find this thing, man. You gotta have the ranks on ladder to manage the traffic. I'm not sure if I have. Yes, look at here. This is part of the initiative of the minister. So this is at the corner of Brigham on Avenue Republic, just outside the court and Parliament building there, ranks standing up on ladder. That is an initiative from the Minister of Home Affairs. The other initiative from the Minister of Home Affairs is that ranks must wear white gloves, the traffic ranks. So if you drive around and you see the traffic ranks wearing white gloves, that is an initiative from the Minister of Home Affairs. Now tell me how those things are going to impact positively on the carnage, on the madness on the road. When we talk about the extended squatter, you recall, he called in all the traffic heads some time ago, and he transferred them, right? And he instructed that policemen must line the roads to prevent speeding. That is some time ago. Policemen must line the roads to prevent speeding. These people have absolutely no clue as to how this matter should be dealt with, and we are giving them nuggets of information. I am saying again, it requires a comprehensive review. A comprehensive review. It is not a police problem any longer. It's a national epidemic, and it should be treated as such. Yes, let me bring in Mr. Conway before we move on. CC, have your say on this thing, man. Have your say.
Well, we said over and over again that there must be a holistic approach towards this madness on our roads. And it's not only the police, members of the public, and even down to the police internally. It appears as though only the traffic ranks, whether they're on a ladder or not, only the traffic ranks are really involved. The general duties ranks got to be involved. The divisional commanders got to be involved in this traffic situation. They had to take a grip of it, But then the thing is, sometimes they then are underperforming too, and they are being rewarded in the traffic department. Let me tell you a case what happened recently. West Demerara. The traffic chief in West Demerara. This month is awards month. And he got the runner-up position for the best cop in that division, region number 3. And that division, let me give you some stats. Fatal accident increased by over 300%. And they give the figures. And the figures, and they cut the figures too. They did ghosting, where they had an accident on the West Demerara, where a vehicle hit a culvert, a bridge, end up in a trench, and they said there's an incident. They had one where a driver fell off a e-bike, died. They said there's an incident. One where a person was standing near to a car, and a minibus come and struck him down, and they're saying that is an incident. So they're cocking the figures. And also, West Demerara is regarded as the deadliest roads in Guyana. And here is it. The traffic chief of West Demerara is the runner-up best cop. He presiding where fatal accident has increased by over 300%, and they're cocking the figures, so it got to be higher than that. And he presiding over the deadliest roadway in Guyana. I don't know what yardstick they use, what the formula they use, that traffic chief is the runner-up best cop. So, and if you look at the traffic situation too, the drivers, we saying the people getting the driver's license too easily. They, if you do a check in terms of the what we happen is that for a person to get a driver's license after he has passed the, the law on a driver package, he has to do a practical examination. And Paul, you had put into place where when in doing the practical examination, not only the certifying officer, but a member of the uniform section must be present. And apart from that, also a return of the persons who have been registered to do the driver the practical got to be sent to the commander, and he also has to see the results so he could know what action to take. But now you find very few people are undergoing the practical examination, and that's where they give you the competence, and you go to GRA and you get your driver license. Do a check. Look at how many persons going and doing the practical, and they don't know night driving, who doing the practical, and check and see how many people are rushing, they're crowding the GRA to have the driver's license because they get competence, and because they don't do no practical examination, they're getting competence, long the price is right. So they're not looking at the 6C. Corruption is going on. Corruption is taking place, and they're not looking at that. And if we don't have a holistic approach, they change the traffic chief, bring on Singh, he makes some wild statement, blah, 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 and he gone quiet. He gone quiet like the army. Perhaps it's a giant service thing that you remain quiet when you're under difficult or challenging situation. That it has to be an holistic approach towards. And I'm perturbed that a man who, and I have nothing personal against him, talking about the system, who supervise as the traffic situation, gone up fatal accident by over 300%, and the road in his division are considered the deadliest in Guyana. He is given an award as the runner-up best cop. Perhaps Dr. Peter must be smiling in his grave. Peter Principal promoting incompetence, that you're getting award for incompetence.
Yeah, getting an award for incompetence. And the first time Romana arrests the lawyer for advising her client to remain silent and what. He's now a divisional commander. He is now a divisional commander. Chances are, at the end of the year, promotion gonna come out, and the police service commission you have there. Chances are, all of these people are going to be promoted. Doesn't matter whether you're presiding over the deadliest road or not. And I am, as I say, I don't know the individual, but these things are important. And they say, as we have said, they're cocking the thing so much now that they have made a distinction between fatal accidents and fatal incidents. So, for example, the fatal accident occurred Mosul Creek last week Friday, which took the life of my good friend on the quarantine, our good friend CC. That is not considered a fatal accident because what they say, this was in October. They said that 171 persons have lost their lives on the country's road between January the 1st and October the 8th. That's this year. This was revealed in a recent report by the Guyana Police Force. Of this number, 138 persons died from fatal accidents, otherwise known as vehicle-to-vehicle collision or collisions involving pedestrian and cycle. Meanwhile, 33 persons died from fatal incidents, in which collisions with stationary objects such as poles and trenches were involved. That is what they're saying. And we know that once the accident or once the thing occurred on the road, and let me get the definition for road. Mr. Conway had read it before. Let me read the definition for road. Road means any highway or any other road to which the public has access and includes bridges over which a road passes and any wharf, stelling, or part of the foreshore to which the public has access. So I don't know how they're doing, but all they're doing, they are fooling themselves because at the end of the day, people are dying on the roads. Whether they want to call it fatal accidents, whether they want to call it fatal incidents, people are dying on the roads. And let me show you this short video as part of the problem. Hold on quick. Hold on, I'm gonna show you. Look, this is BV yesterday. So according to the police, if someone was driving to that herd of animals walking on the road, that is not a fatal accident. That is an incident, right? That is an incident. And that is part of the problem. You have to face up that we have a problem on the roads, face up to the numbers and do something to address it. But when you're fooling yourself and telling you, well, this is not an accident, this is an incident, and all type of crap you're thinking. As I said before, as a former traffic chief, there were fatal incidents, of course. Fatal incidents were primarily when tractors and other vehicles in the farm, especially the rice field, they plow in, and then what happens? Sometimes they turn over, they pin the driver dies. That's an incident. It didn't occur on the road, it occurred in some field. But now you have accidents on the road, and they're telling you it is not a fatal accident, it is a fatal incident. God help us in this country. We have some of the most dangerous roads in the country. When you look per capita, Guyana fatal accidents is among the highest in the world per capita. Because we have a small population, just about 800,000. And I'm sure by now, you have, whether they call it fatal accident, fatal incident, close to or above 200 deaths for this year. And again, I say, the Minister of Home Affairs is silent. The extended squatter, you're talking about people being rewarded. This has been going on all the time. He's rewarded, he's given an indefinite extension. So it's not about performing, as you rightly pointed out. A police officer who's in charge of traffic in Regional Division number 3, West Coast Demerara, the deadliest roads in the country, with a increased record of over 300% or there about 300% in fatalities to the year. The man is the divisional runner-up best cop. The man is the divisional runner-up best cop. God help us in this place. CC, do you want to say anything further?
No, let's move on. Let's move on, Paul.
Let me move on. We're going to close off with this Venezuela issue. You know, last Thursday, the president of Guyana, Irfan Ali, attended this meeting in St. Vincent, and they met there with the president of Venezuela, the man who is claiming two-thirds of Guyana's territory, Essequibo. I want to ask the question, what has Guyana gained from this meeting? And I honestly want to know, because the president came back almost a week now, and the president has not seen it fit to address us Guyanese, address the nation, to tell us what happened, what came out of this meeting. And I find that very alarming, that you had such a consequential meeting over our territory, and the president has not seen it fit. You have some propagandists on the writing us out a letter to say the meeting was fruitful and all. The president should let us know, because you went into the meeting, and remember, following the referendum on December the 3rd, the President Maduro, I think it was on the 5th, made certain announcements. Let me tell you what let me remind some of us what he decided. President Maduro decided to announce the establishment of an integral defense zone for Guyana Essequibo, with administrative and military headquarters in Turamino. Major General Alexis Rodriguez Cabello was appointed as the sole authority. Maduro directives were given to the PDVSA and CVG. Those are the natural gas company and oil company of Venezuela, right? To create Essequibo division or branches and issue license for oil, gas, and mining exploration immediately. They also said that a new map of Venezuela is to be published in schools, high schools, and universities. Maduro announced the initiation of population census operations in the Essequibo territory and the commencement of the identification process. A special law will be enacted to terminate concessions granted by Guyana within 3 months. And also, President Maduro invited all companies to negotiate with Venezuela. Maduro ordered the execution of a census and the delivery of identification cards to the inhabitants of Essequibo. So all of these things were there. I don't know. The president should come and tell us if these issues were addressed, if Venezuela has pulled back on these aggressive moves. Where are we? Where are we? We are not any the wiser. And again, silence from the GDF with the aircraft crash, silence from the Minister of Home Affairs with the carnage on the road, and up to now, silence from the president with this meeting that he had in Venezuela. In St. Vincent with Venezuela. One would have expected at a minimum that the president would have sought it fit to address the nation and to let us know what took place at the meeting and what he achieved, if anything at all. Because as I said, and Venezuela with their propaganda, gone, Venezuela seeing this as a win. And they talk about this peace. And again, let me say, they talk about the peace that they are talking about peace in the region. And they're giving the impression that both parties, that's Guyana and Venezuela, are aggressive, equally aggressive. No, we have not been aggressive. We have not been aggressive. And let me say this. I have a note here. The day after the peace, and peace is in inverted commas, the Venezuelan Alden Francis ambassador to Caracas to protest erroneous statements by the French foreign minister on the Essequibo issue. The protest note insisted that the minister correct our statement that suggested that Essequibo is historically owned by Guyana. So the French people made the statement, and they were called in and told to correct that statement. This is a statement of fact. So there we have. I don't know where we are with this issue. As again I say, the president owe it to the nation to let us know. And that with the Kit Nascimento writing letter to the media and somebody else issuing letter. This is something you can't delegate. You have to face up and let us know what is up. You got to face up to the media. And not only the media conference, I would have expected an address, perhaps followed by a media conference where you can field questions. But no, silence. 1 week and it's silence. Cece, let me hear your views as we try to close out today.
I've been calling all along the line, even before the meeting recently, that the president has got to address the nation substantially on the Guyano-Venezuelan issue. He went to the meeting without an agenda. He went with open arms. And Maduro went fully loaded. You mentioned some things that Maduro put in the Venezuelan president put in place. Annexing Essequibo, appointing a major general as the sole authority, threatening ExxonMobil, threatening our local miners in the Cayuni, in the Mazzaroni, in the Potaro, in the Rupununi, in the Essequibo, in Borimo, in Moroano, in Aruco, in Port Kaichuma. I could go on and name them, in Koropong, in Massachusetts, threatening them that they got to get permission from Venezuela to operate. Lo and behold, and he has not rescinded any of those orders. He has not backtracked on anything. He has not mentioned any word there. The things that I said that I put in place, I put them on hold or something. What we have is an uneasy calm. We ain't get peace. We have an uneasy calm taking place. For me, Venezuelan president has crossed the Rubicon. And the Rubicon, if you study ancient history, is a river northeast of Italy that they bordering with Gaul. And in Julius Caesar time, Julius Caesar had gone into Italy. He had crossed the Rubicon, and he had no turning back. He had declared war against the Senate and Pompey. The Brazilian president has declared war against Guyana, and he has not backtracked on that. He has not been saying it either. And we say we're making peace. It's not peace. It's an uneasy calm. There might be a little light at the end of the tunnel, but we don't know what's coming. Perhaps the light at the end of the tunnel is a runaway train coming to hit you down. That the president, and I repeat, must address the nation substantially in terms of what about the Venezuelan situation and what took place at the meeting he had there. Venezuelan president went there, understand, is his aircraft under the drawing of the map of Venezuela, which includes Escribo. And he went to the meeting there. He go there fully loaded. Our president go without nothing, and then be talking about sign agreement and sign agreement and sign agreement. It is an uneasy calm. I hope to God that maybe other things will develop.
Well, we have got to hope and pray that and that this meeting too does not affect our standing in with the ICJ matter. So yeah, we folks, and we running out. We have run out of time actually. I don't know if CC want to make any other closing remarks. CC, do you want to make any closing remarks before I wrap up?
Just a brief one, Yesterday I was invited to the former members of the Ghana police. They call them the ex-police. They had a luncheon there, an annual luncheon, where they invite former members, special invitees. I went there, and there is it. Said they had invited the extended squatter to speak. He was on the program. He did not turn up. Our representative didn't come. The meal should have been there, which is catered by the police, should have been there at 12 o'clock, and it came after 2 o'clock. And not our representative from the Guyana Police Force was present. So that's how they're treating ex-members or former members of the Guyana Police Force.
But the day coming, the day will come. The day will come. I'm not surprised. I am not surprised. Let me say, folks, this has brought us to the end of today's episode. The class was full, man, today. Full, even though we had a little glitch when we came back in. The numbers were right up there. And let me say, I'm not sure if I had wished all season's greetings. And to remind you that next Monday is Christmas Day. Next Monday is Christmas Day. So we're not gonna have any program next Monday. We're gonna, God's willing, we're gonna be here on Wednesday to deal with this issue, or to deal with several issues on Wednesday. The usual Wednesday program. We are going to be back on Wednesday. In the meanwhile, I want to take this opportunity again. Season's greetings to all of you, and to implore you to be cautious and to be safe. A lot of things can happen during this period. People hurry and they're rushing. Accidents. People look at your decorations, your fairy lights and all of these things. Next thing you know, you're likely to have fires. Because you have a lot of cooking and all sort of things will take place. Folks, you have got to be extremely, extremely careful. You have to be extremely careful. We are all responsible for our own safety in the first place. You're driving on the road, you're walking the road, you're riding. Please, please, please. We don't want to hear of any other tragedy before the holiday or before the end of the year. This year has been a bad year when it comes to death and blood. We have not even touched on the two men who were killed yesterday morning on the East Coast. Victoria, I think it was. Chop up. So many things are occurring. Fatal accidents, murders, all kind of things. Fires taking the lives of people, right? You have got to be extremely, extremely careful. And God's willing, we're going to be back on Wednesday. That's the day after tomorrow, to bring you the episode before Christmas. Until then, please, I implore you again to take care and to stay well. Until then, see you. God May God be with you and see you on Wednesday.